Chat, listen. Listen. I'm a teeny tiny... Where am I? There am I. I am a teeny tiny bit annoyed right now. Oh, I'm losing it. Oh. Hey, when'd you get here?
About an hour ago.
Oh, that's fine. You been here the whole time?
Oh, the whole time.
Oh.
I heard about your secret plans, bro.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Did you hear about the part where I was talking shit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, ignoring that for right now, I'm a little bit upset. I'm a little bit annoyed.
Okay.
I'm a little bit angry.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, quick explanation. Warframe has once again caught me in its clutches, and it's not letting go.
Bro, just stop.
It's got me by the balls, bro. This Warframe, me and Warframe have this relationship where I'm not allowed to leave it. I'm only allowed to take breaks. And I was before stream, I was wanting to farm Wisp Prime because I only had one piece left. You know, I had the Fulman. You know, I had her prime weapon, which is cool. It's sitting in the foundry. And stuff like that, which is nice. But like I had all Wisp pieces except for the main blueprints. I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll go farm the relics for it, you know, because I'm fresh. I didn't have any relics containing your blueprints. I'm like, all right, we'll go get some relics. I know the spot. Spot, you know? And then as I did a couple missions, I was like, huh, you know what? Speaking of relics, I actually can't remember which specific one she was in. Let me just go to the Warframe wiki real quick and look that up. And, yeah, she's vaulted.
Yes, sir.
She's vaulted. The thing is, she was vaulted literally today. Today she was vaulted. Yesterday she wasn't, because I was researching her yesterday. So, fuck me, I guess, right?
No, thank you.
I ain't talking about you.
Oh, good.
It's like, oh, dang. You know, I kind of thought you'd, you know, oh, never mind. But Wisp Prime got vaulted, bro. At that point, I was just like, screw it. I traded platinum for the last piece since the prices were cheap.
The one piece?
Mr. Editor, that took me a sec. I don't know why I didn't recognize you at first.
That's what you sound like.
I'm Mr. Editor. How's it going? But no, yeah, fucking. But no, yeah, the Warframe addiction is back, and it's in full force.
Well, that's always good.
I know, right? The grind will never stop. They have a motorcycle now. Doing kind of meh. Oh, shoot.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, they had a motorcycle now. This is pretty cool. You do the vroom vroom.
Oh my god, that's how motorcycle works?
Yeah, that's how motorcycle work.
Oh wow.
That how motorcycle work. Which pretty cool. I like motorcycle. Do you like motorcycle?
No.
Oh. You don't like motorcycle?
A motorcycle killed my father once.
Oh. So, you want to get it?
Hell yeah, gamer.
Though Goss Prime is still not yet to be vaulted, though I imagine when the next Prime comes in, he's going to be next to be vaulted. But luckily, I'm only needing one more piece for the Exceltra. Yeah, I'm still missing the stock, which, but of course, by my fucking luck, is a rare item. So, you know, I have to max out every relic I get with the stock in it. Because, you know, screw you.
Yes.
Farm for all eternity.
That's the game.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
The farming never stops, bro. I would
Yes,
I would
sir.
like his secondary, but I'm not gonna throw a fit if I don't get it.
Oh, you're gonna throw a fit.
I'm gonna throw a fit, yeah.
He's going to throw a fit. I will be hearing about it later. He'll call me in the middle of work. Yeah, what's up? I'm good.
And again, just like my luck, I was still missing one more piece before I got vaulted.
I'll be so confused. Like 100 relics gone, wasted.
They were all maxed out too. It was a 10% chance to get.
Bro, how did you get 100? How are they all maxed out?
Don't worry about it.
What the hell?
So many void traces. So many. That'd be 10,000 void traces if they're all maxed out.
Mm-hmm. That's what makes it impressive.
I'm trying to... Where's
your pride? I don't know. It's been gone for years.
I hate you so much.
Thank you.
You can shut up.
Oh, okay.
But no, I do have Goss. I do have Goss Prime completed right now. He's cooking in the Foundry. I gotta wait. I think I'll get him Saturday. But yeah, so but for Goss's secondary, I'm missing like 2 pieces. Not 2 pieces actually. I think 4. Yeah, I'm missing the 2 receivers and the 2 barrels. I have the link in the main blueprint. But of course, the receivers are rare, but the barrels are actually common. Wait, they're common. How have I not gotten them yet? I've yet to get any of the common pieces for Goss's secondary. I got the main blueprint, which is rare, and then the link, which is uncommon. Do I just suck now? Or don't answer that. You're not allowed to answer that question, Jordan. But good God. All right. I suck. Yep. All right. There it is. There it is. I always have such a love-hate relationship with Warframe. You know, it sometimes gives me what I want, and then other times it's just like, hey, go fuck yourself. Sometimes it's nice to me, sometimes it's not. But you know what? I feel like that's with everybody. Jordan, are you here?
I was told to shut up, so
Oh.
I shut up.
Oh.
And now you want me to talk, huh?
I thought you just up and left.
Oh, you told me to shut up, so...
Oh, you ready to rub salt into this wound as well? I was actually doing pretty good into the. I was actually doing pretty good into the Nightwave. You know, I was keeping on top of the Nightwave missions. Nightwave reset today as well.
Hell yeah.
I was gonna buy more Orkin reactors and catalysts too. I need more Orkin potatoes.
Potato.
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 Yeah. Oh, I do want to say something though. I uploaded like 2 videos up on the channel. They've both been doing pretty good actually. So really proud of that. Going to keep doing more of that.
Right, but stop doing that. That'd be bad.
No, stop. If I
more?
if I stopped doing that, it'd be really bad.
We're just gonna no longer do those.
Put
that to the side. We are now gonna do a kids channel.
No, yeah, that's not happening.
But the profits.
No way in hell I'm going to entertain children.
Let's take a look at those views.
Yeah.
And then let's take a look at how much they make. What? Let's see. What's a good child entertaining channel?
I don't know. I would say Cocomelon, but like they're not owned by like a single person. They're like a business.
All right, YouTube Kids, it is. We need to copy them. We'll be rolling in the dough. These kids are very impressionable. They're dumb
and very easily entertained.
And also dumb.
But here's the thing.
Just like me.
And Chat can attest to this. Also, you can attest to this because you know me longer. I curse like a sailor.
Just don't.
Children do not need to watch me.
Bro, just don't.
Sorry, man. It's ingrained in my vocabulary.
We can edit it in post.
It's just going to be you voicing over my curse words. You're not even trying to sound like me. It's a clear difference.
Bro, the kids don't even notice. They don't even care.
It's the iPad generation anyway.
Exactly.
Oh, good God.
Anyway, I'll let you do your little reading thingamajig.
Yeah.
I'll be listening in the background and fishing.
Listening to me mess up word. Oh yeah, you're still fishing in Terraria.
Bro, I'm almost done.
Wait, what are you at now?
I'm at 166. I'm almost got all the achievements.
Jeez, bro. Wait, how many achievements do you have left?
1.
Just the fishing? You actually did everything else.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, so much for waiting. So much for waiting for stream to do it all.
Don't worry, we can have a fishing stream.
Well, we gotta do carry the glass first because we're almost at the end.
Exactly. And then once we finish those two, you know what's next?
Factorio?
No.
Oh. What? Satisfactory?
Ew. Ugh.
What do you mean? Ew.
Ugh.
They're in your Steam library, aren't they not? You want the achievements?
I mean, yeah, but I also have Schedule 1. That's also there. I have Oblivion and what else is there? There's Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah.
Still need to finish Cyberpunk 2077.
I thought you finished that.
I haven't finished the DLC stuff.
Oh.
I finished most of the main story. There's like 1 or 2 in there that I haven't done. One of them is because I guess it's technically a spoiler, but one of the missions you can save a dude, and I did not save him.
Oh.
And that's and it's one of those achievements like, yeah, you need him for the ending, and I'm like, oh, fuck, that was a while ago.
Oh no.
So that's a whole new game, so I'll leave that for later.
Yeah, that's a whole new game. Hey, at least you can do a different build and it'll be stealth again.
Right. And then one of them is finding all the fast travel data turns, which I thought I did. I even looked it up because I'm like, dude, I've traveled everywhere in this map.
No, man, you forgot to go to the very top right of the map and get that one fast travel point that's needed for that one mission, and you'll never go back there ever again.
Bro. Not even that. It just won't be for anywhere. It would be in the middle of nowhere. It's literally meaningless.
It's
it has
actually
no use.
just in the middle of the Badlands. You'll never have to go there for anything, not even for side quests.
Like, there's not even a road. It's just there. But, yeah, no, I even looked it up.
Achievement hunting in here? That's tomorrow. Achievement hunting's tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm just here to bother him.
Yeah, today I attempt to continue to read this book. I'm actually almost halfway through it. There's, I think, 440 pages, and I'm on page 200.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm doing, like 50 pages per stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's
you can
440.
count to 50.
It helps when the numbers are at the bottom of the page.
Whoa.
That's the thing. I can't.
The numbers do it for me.
The numbers do it for me. The numbers count for me. My teachers lied to me when they say professionals don't use calculators. God. They also lied to me like, remember in middle school they had us write down in the planner, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you got to do this in high school like all the time." And I never once had to do it in high school. Well, actually, no wait, I did it freshman year, and then the remaining 3 years never had to do it ever again.
A planner?
Yeah, remember how you had to write what you were doing in class today in the planner?
No.
No? I did that.
No, smart kids never had to do that.
I did that throughout the entire time in middle school, and then the teachers was like, yeah, you got to do this in preparation for high school because they're going to be on you harder for this. And then I did it in freshman year, and then all 3 other classes after that, nope, not anymore.
I think maybe I did it in middle school. Oh. I think I maybe did it in middle school because we did go to the same middle school, but I only went there for 8th grade.
Yeah. No,
I didn't have to do that for.
I definitely remember doing it in 8th grade.
You don't remember doing it in 8th grade?
No, I definitely remember doing it in 8th grade.
I probably did it then, but once high school started, I never did it.
Yeah. What are we reading? We're gonna continue to reading The Infinite and the Divine by Robert Rath. It's a Warhammer 40k book. We're delving deep into the lore. If memory serves, Trazyn the Infinite and Orkin the Diviner are fighting some greenskins right now.
Wait, you're telling me this isn't about the Hungry Caterpillar?
No, it's not about the Hungry Caterpillar.
Oh my god, that's why I was so confused, dude.
It's something. I
didn't even know about these characters.
This is something much more grim and much more dark.
I just thought this was like, you know, the updated version.
You used to plan it for one class in high school because she required it. Yeah. That sounds about right.
I thought the caterpillar was coming later in the story.
If he was, he's already dead. Because like 8,000 years have passed already. I'm not. That's,
like, he's really
that's
hungry,
not an
though.
exaggeration, by the way. 8,000 years have actually passed from the start to where I'm at right now.
But he's like really hungry. He probably ate like an immortal being, and he became immortal himself. You know.
At that point, Trazyn would have tried to collect it in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly. He tried.
No, he succeeded.
Damn. He just hasn't come across it yet.
You can argue that the orcs are all the hungry caterpillars. Maybe. They're hungry for battle. They're hungry for a good fight.
Whoa.
Actually, Orkin the Diviner broke into Trazyn's museum. Again, no surprise there.
Whoa.
But like every time to distract Trazyn, he always starts like breaking stuff in the museum because he knows Trazyn values that way more. So he distracts Trazyn by breaking the stuff, and he broke an orc exhibit, and a bunch of orcs actually got out with some of their vehicles as well. And while Orkin was able to get away with the thing that he wanted, Trazyn ended up beating up the biggest orc. And it tired him out a little bit. And by tired him out, I mean, like, he took some damage. So he took a seat down after beating the big orc and slowed down, like, his sense of time so he can process stuff faster while the world around him's going slower. And he was trying to figure out a way out of it because he turned around, he see a bunch of orcs behind him. So he's trying to calculate how to get out. But then he suddenly realizes, like, wait, they're not storming me. Wait, they're cheering? Why are they cheering? So he puts his senses time back to normal, and to find out that they're cheering because Trazyn gave them a good fight.
Right.
Trazyn gave him a good fight like that, like how they wanted. You're like, dude, you were awesome. That's great. All right, listen, we're gonna get more buddies, and then we're gonna come back. And Trazyn's like, yeah, no, and freezes them again in this Tesseract labyrinth.
It'll be fun, trust me, bro.
You know what? It'd be. I feel like it'd be really funny if Trace was like, you know what? There's a bunch of orcs in here in this cube. That's definitely not a trap. Here, go look in it. And they definitely would fall for that.
Shit. For real, dude, that's crazy.
It would totally be that. It'd be like real shit, and then they go in, and then again they're trapped in the Tesseract labyrinth. They ain't coming out.
We'll get them out there.
They ain't coming out. Trazyn is peak Necron. Trazyn is 100% peak Necron. He is the galaxy's biggest troll, and that's what makes him the best. I always just picture it of you opening the vault containing your precious item, and in there where the item's gone, and in its place is a note that says took the thing XOXO Trazyn the Infinite, as Trazyn is holding it, as Trazyn is holding the thing and like running down the hallway, and you hear the clank 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 of his metal feet. While a bunch of armed guards are chasing him, and then you just hear him and then you're just the pilot of his ship through the intercom. Start the fucking ship, we're leaving. That's
Sorry.
dives in through the wall because there's no windows. I would
Drive.
I would so love a meme of that. Like somebody draw that Trayson running away from armed guards, just jumping into his ship.
Shit.
Trayson is unironically playing Repo. I just thought of that. Trayson's unironically playing Repo. He's taking all the expensive things. But instead of the tax man, he's got his museum.
The museum demands this quota to be filled.
He's like, dang, this is a pretty nice couch. Doink.
I'm sure no one's using it. I'll put it to better use.
Meanwhile, is the couch to a pretty important commissar in the Imperium.
Right. He uses daily.
Right. But the thing is,
where
though,
the fuck is my couch?
he's not going to explain why he needs your thing, because it would definitely put this exhibit all together to make it look really nice. He's literally just going to take it. And there's some times where he doesn't even have time. He would literally do just a drive-by steal.
Damn.
So just like imagine a long ship flying by your window and you just see a metal arm and then your kitchen's gone.
My kitchen, bro.
That's where I kept my food.
Why do you take the fridge? He could have taken anything else, but he took my fucking fridge.
No, bro, it's part of the set, okay? It's part of the set. It puts it together, okay? What's the set called? The Imperial Idiot.
Huh. Damn.
That's crazy.
I don't want to be part of this exhibit anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not. Just your kitchen.
Well, I don't want my kitchen being in there either. I had a photo in my kitchen. He just took my photo.
Puts hand on shoulder. that meme.
My kitchen, I had my sandwich in there. I was looking forward to that all day.
Tracy, I now want a meme of that with Tracy putting a hand on whoever he's stealing from with his big ass fucking chin, and to the side is another Necron. It's his assistant that helps him keep track of everything in the museum with his little pen and digital notebook. Which he actually does use because his memory circuits were a bit fried from when he was waking up, so he actually has the right stuff down to help him remember. This robot unironically has dementia.
Damn, you hate to see it, bro.
Hi, Ninja. How's it going? And it's so beautiful. I love it so much. Oh,
has he not considered, oh, I can fix that for you?
That's the thing. Trayson probably could fix it. Like he could, because Trayson is the overlord, so he could probably authorize a regeneration process for him.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, this guy, he has a dementia as a robot. We might want to fix that.
Yeah. But oh yeah, Trayson's the overlord, which is a fairly high rank among the Necrons. So like he can do a lot of things.
Right. Apparently not have all the shit he needs because he has to steal it.
Oh my, I'm doing great, except for what happened to me in Warframe. But other than that, I'm doing great.
He's doing amazing, even what happened in Warframe.
I'd hit you if I could, but you'd hit back harder.
Oh yeah, I would, 100%. In fact, I'm pretty much tempting you to hit me, so that gives me a reason to hit back.
Thanks for the follow. That's the only reason why you will ever rage bait me.
Exactly. It's like, bro, I want the smoke. Go ahead, try me.
When I'm 0-7 in ranked matches, and bros rage bait's actually starting to get to me.
Go ahead, try me. I'm waiting. This is the moment.
It's literally that one meme from Venture Bros where it's just like, go ahead, take it from me.
Do it.
I turn just hit. No, don't do it.
Don't do it, bro. Don't do it. Trust me, bro. Trust me. You don't want that smoke.
That man accidentally killed his football team.
Accidentally.
Yeah, accidentally. He straight up did not mean to.
Imagine if he did it on purpose.
He got a college scholarship through football, and he accidentally killed one of his teammates during practice, so he got kicked out. To which point he joined the army.
Yep, fair.
Yeah.
That is the process.
well, college kicked me out. Time to join the Marines.
Pretty much, and the Marines will happily accept you with open arms. Like, all right, bet, infantry, go. You'll love it.
Oh no, trust me, they won't put that guy in infantry. He is actually built like a Marine. That bro is built like a tank.
Exactly. Bro is part of the SEAL Team 6.
He would be part of SEAL Team 6. He's going on those front lines. Suddenly I'm not as upset anymore. We're good.
Awesome. Now let me remind you why you should be upset.
Shut up! Shut up! Don't do this again. Don't you dare do this again. I know what you. I know what you're doing again, Jordan. Don't you dare.
You know, it doesn't matter if you know or not. It's still gonna work.
Yeah, I say, shut up, and then you're gonna shut up, and then I want to like start. I want to read the book, be like do, and then be like, oh man, this is kind of funny. What do you think, Jordan? And then you just don't answer.
Exactly, because I am a good.
What was that echo? It's my little soundboard thing.
Guys.
Yeah, no, I can physically make myself echo.
Yes, sir.
And my room's not even big enough for an echo.
You see, he's right now recording in a garage.
I'm next to a garage, but I'm not in a garage.
He's in a garage. Trust me, bro. Sources, trust me. I know where he lives. I've seen it set up.
Okay, he does know where I live, but that's all. Okay.
See, boom, proof. Done.
Just got confirmation, bro. We did it. Whoa! Another win again, baby. Let's go.
God damn.
You have a garage? Yeah, I have a garage. It's where we put cars.
You put cars in it?
Nope.
I just put a lot of crap in it.
There's just a lot of crap in your garage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys use it for cars?
Man, that's.
I use it as an extra storage space.
Man, that's kind of weird of you. Who puts their cars in a garage, bro?
Not me.
I start thinking about it, though. It would be nice. It would keep it out of elements.
No.
Where
else want to put all this stuff that I never use?
And will never touch ever again.
Exactly. I'll leave you to reading your book, and I'll interrupt you in the most critical of times.
Alrighty, you'll know when those critical times happen, because I'm going to be reading out loud.
Yes, and I'll make fun of every mistake.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would. Which is also why it's also good that you're here, because I'm stuck on a board. I'm going to fucking give it to you. You're going to read it out and help me. Oh man, if you listen, if I'm fucking up, you're gonna be there to fuck up with me, bro. We're both going down in this shit show together.
No. I'm just fishing. I'm just fishing, bro.
I'm just a humble fisherman. Dude, you killed Cthulhu. A humble fisherman with humble beginnings.
Yes, sir.
Says the guy who fished up a literal magic wand. I don't know if you fished that up yet, but I have plenty of times.
I can't remember. I usually just sell everything.
But yeah, I usually just sell everything too. The fishing is a good way to make money.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. People, Terraria players should do it more often.
I mean, you can't get the Moon Lord stuff from fishing, unfortunately.
This is true. That's true. But I think there's a guy who's like he only allowed himself to get gear from fishing.
Oh.
Like he can only use the items he acquires from fishing.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Technically you can get pretty far because you can get like the hard mode ores through fishing up crates and whatnot, but oh, you know what? You can fish up Duke Fishron and his gear can take you to Moonlord.
Oh.
Duke Fishron's a fish.
I don't think I've fought him.
Yes, you have. Because you have his achievement. If you didn't fight him, you wouldn't have the achievement.
Oh boy.
Anyway, page 200. Here we go. Starting from the tippity top. I'm gonna have to be your boy to call if you got trouble reading, or we's gonna have to makes ooze read in red so ooze learn faster. He's speaking in orc. Never have enough DACA. Oh, that's how you say that word. Okay. Call acquisition phalanx, Trazen ordered. Whatever formation Royal Warden Ashkut? Yeah, Ashkut deems best. Death marks wherever makes sense. Let him handle the details. Do not fire on the humans so long as they're shooting at orcs and not us. Oh, that's right. Humans colonized this planet. And they're also fighting back on the orcs, and Trazen just spotted them. Okay, I remember now. I remember where we're at. He stepped out into the plaza, summoning his empathic obliterator, slowing his chronosense so he could scry the entire plaza and commit it to his engramic matrix should he decide to recreate the scene. And striding towards the orcs, he laughed with recognition as his arch rival sub-program fields the scry scan under a previous engram. It was the same 5 Avenue Plaza he'd defend with his Lich Guard 8 millennia past. But then the Basilica? Yeah. But then, the Basilica of God Emperor's Ascension had been the Eldari's World Spirit Temple. The Administratum Complex, a monastery. The bunker and fine artificial force, grown from lizard bone, is its top bots like the branching of a fan... that word's... The top bots like the branching of fan corals. Birds clustered around the central fountain, too stupid or frightened by the battle to flee. When they looked at him, turning their heads sideways to regard him with their enormous, unblinking eyes, he realized they were not birds at all, but feathered lizards. Pale yellow scales showed on their bellies, their fluffed red plumage embedded in leathery reptilian skin. Snot. Water. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. Milk for the cornflakes. Trazen Crustum... no, I skipped an entire paragraph. Oh, how the mighty... Oh, how the mighty are brought low, he thought. Trazen raised his obliterator and ignited the artifact within so it flared with a Malian hum, radiating a light that was not light. An orc at the edge of the attack turned away from the last fire, pulling out of the bunker, and saw him below a challenge that sent his lips flapping. Trazen crushed him with a downward stroke, mashing the fungal creature to the plaza. The obliterator's headpiece activated, and a blast wave rocketed through the mob of green flesh. Worm lighting leaping from body to body in cone of howling balefire. Nimbuses of correspondence surrounded metal weapons and buckles. Sluggers exploded, their ammunition detonating inside their magazines and shredding brutish fingers. Chain blades whirled around out of control until their engines burned out with a cough of ozone. Okay, that's a way to say it. Helmets turned griddle hot by the energy flash seared their owners down to the skull. The closest orc simply disappeared. Flash burned out of existence to the point that the only thing that remained of them were silhouettes on the cobblestones. The area around them scorched black. I love his empathic obliterator so much, you know, because it just he points and shoots, and it kills anything that thinks like that person or is also related to them. So if that orc had family on another planet, yeah, they also just drop dead. I'm doing fine, Texture, thank you. Reading the Infinite Divine. Fire from the bunkers slackened. Green heads turned regarding this new and more interesting threat. And behind Trazyn, the air rent. A line of Lich Guards stepped through the glowing, spitting wound in spacetime. Shields forward, swords aloft. In the center stood Lich Captain Ashkut, Royal Warden. He bellowed a challenge, aloud, so the orcs could hear it, and no fear in whatever small part of their brain perceived such a thing. Kalath Hut. The Lich Guard responded by hammering their dispersion. I almost read that as depression. That's not what that word says. The Lich Guard responded by hammering their dispersion shields with the pommels of their phase swords. Once, twice, in Trazyn's vision, the glimpse for conquest appeared, overlaying his view of the battle. They advance, formation splitting to engulf Trazyn and get him behind them. Another rank was already coming through the tear in reality to join them. Kalath Hut. Bang, bang, pommel on shield. The glyph pulsing again. Kalath Sep. The line stopped a pace short of the orcs, swords poised, silent and unmoving. Trazyn was not a warrior, never had been. He did not, overall, particularly like fighting. He generally considered face-to-face combat a failure. He preferred his enemy to be unarmed and facing the other direction. Or better yet, 1,000 leagues away and unaware of his presence. But seeing Ashkut's display filled him with pride. The pulsing chant, the eerie stillness, the gleam of sunlight on burnished turquoise and gold. He'd never been a dynastic partisan. Considered himself beyond that pettiness. But at this moment, standing in this plaza in the remnant of war, his central reactor cycled a little faster with the memory of ancient glories. The orcs, for their part, howled in approval. A few beat their own weapons together in clumsy imitation of the Lich Guard's martial prowess. Then they surged forward like the surf. Nihilak ascended, cried Trazyn. Lost in the moment. No, cried Trazyn lost in the moment. That's how that's supposed to say. I said that with a period. The Lich Guard responded with a charge. Dispersion shields slammed muscle with bone-crackling force. The leading wave of orcs staggered back into their comrades, bellowing in anger and confusion as the ranks behind sent them careening? Okay. Sent them careening back onto the wall of shields and vibrating blades. Phase swords chopped down, passing in and out of dimensions to bypass helmets and skulls. Monomolecular edges carving through brains and quartered necks, lodging in thick ribs and tough, fibrous organs. A whole rank of orcs fell, mutilated at their feet. Ashkut shouted, and the Lich Guard advanced a step. Metal feet crunching the skulls and bruising... Oh, that's a word. Viscera? Or is that C supposed to be K? Viscera? Bursting viscera as they trod. Uncaring through the carnal dead. One Lich Guard stepped back out of the advancing ranks and collapsed. His death mask chewed to chatters by a chain blade. Bare actuators severed and leaking sticky reactor fluid, sparked with death light. Sanat knelt and began resurrection protocols. The ranks closed, not even glancing back at their fallen comrade. Revered Lord, an interstitial message. Yeah, an interstitial message. This unworthy one is Scytheflight, Scout 2. I apologize for speaking directly to you without prompting, but I have protocols to notify you directly of imminent threat. Upslope, another ground of Habs detonated, raining pieces of red tile down on the plaza. Ashcut and his force stepped forward and sank their reverberating blades deep into orc flesh. Speak, Scytheflight, Trazen signaled. Request you scry into my unworthy oculars, Lord. Trazen did, and his hydraulics pumped faster. Threat response triggering. At first he thought he was looking at some great battleship. Then a collection of battleships chained together. Then he saw the face, the angry eyes. This was a Gargant, taller than any building in Serenade City. Save the Imperial Ballista. Both super heavy vehicle and religious icon, it glared over a jaw bristling with flamers. So a line of bright fire danced in place of the sawtooth underbite of most orc craft. I'm so stupid. Ape-like arms swung from its thickest shoulders. God dang it.
Yeah, you really are stupid.
Yeah, no, I read that word so wrong. I butchered it so hard. It's ape-like. Okay, I feel like Ian right now.
Apple-like. No, apple-like.
That's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, pretty apple-like if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm not going to live that one down.
I want to bring it up in a random stream.
Yeah, you are. Each terminating in enormous buzzsaws. A bulbous cannon, fat and wide-mouthed, sprouted from its belly. They were towing it in on a barge, pulled by two orc tugs. Pulled by two orc tugs that were all engine and threw out wakes of white water and spilled fuel oil. They were headed for the shallow table of the firing. Yeah, of the fringing. Fringing table of the fringing reef. Okay, and if they launched it there, it would crush the coral flat. Oh. Collapsed tunnels, ensuring they missed their chance to open the tomb. Maybe as Orkin predicted, destroy it entirely. Above, Trazen saw the dirty smoke trails of Storm boyz coming down on Serenade City. Ashcut, said Trazen, clear them faster. We need to make the reef. Thawquat, he shouted. As one, the entire line of Lich Guards dropped to their knees, shields guarding their front in a low wall. And the second rank, composed of immortals, opened up with their Gauss blasters. The orcs melted, howling mouths disintegrated to ash, leaving nothing but a disembodied wail. Streaking arms swung forward as corded muscle and connected on the kneeling Lich Guards as striped bone. An orc boy, furious at this unsupporting turn, emptied an entire magazine at the immortals, only to see his slugs snuffed out of the air like candle flames before he, too, was sanded down to nothing. Gauss beams swept the plaza clean, disassembling even the bodies, so nothing blocked the Necron advance. Orkin checked Trazen's position. Rechecked it. Bastard was going too slow. Far too slow. He banked the Zodiac into the planet's orbit, burned his interstitials? Interstitialus. Inertialus?
You got this.
Yeah, I think it's inertialus. Inertialess. I think that's inertialus.
I believe in you.
Yeah, I want to say this inertialist because reading the next word, that kind of makes sense. Burning his inertialist drive to slingshot around the other side. There were 5 orc vessels on him. 5. He'd taken multiple hits. The lightning arc battery was damaged beyond the Wraith's abilities to repair it. The particle whip had only enough power for one last shot, and only 3 days from the mysterious opening. He had expected Trazen to betray him, and perhaps he had, in a way. The antiquity was only assisting him in the most cursory manner. It had drawn off two of the escorts and disappeared to the far side of one of the Serenade's moons. His divinations still claimed it was making combat passes out there, but he doubted it. Trazen had decided to tie him up in orbit. You know what's really funny? So, Orkin made a temporary truce with Trazen to get rid of the orcs on this planet because the planet is very important to both of them. So they're like, so they're both like, okay, yeah, fuck it. There's too many orcs here. We'll work together temporarily to defeat the orc threat, right? And so here's the thing. Orkin gave Trazen the thing that he stole from Trazen's museum. However, Trazen was also interested because the thing was a key that was going to open up something. However, Orkin had the equation to use it as a key, but Trazen didn't. So Trazen got to hold the key, and then Orkin knew the thing to activate it as a precaution that they won't betray each other, you know? Because they each hold the half that would open the door.
Right.
And but the book reveals to us that Trazen secretly put a secret little recorder in Orkin's study place where he did all of his things, and Trazen actually has the equation to activate the key to open the door.
Oh boy.
But Orkin doesn't know that yet.
Yes. Damn.
Hey, listen, they know they need each other to fight these orcs, but God, they still hate each other at the end of the day.
I mean, fair. That's fair.
At the end of the day, it's just, hey, Trazen, look over here, bitch.
Fuck you.
And then they'll fight and take it to court. Which took almost a decade to find a judge for the court.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this, and Trajan just straight up cheats anyway.
No, Orkin cheats.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he rewinds time to pick a different dialogue option.
Oh.
What's even crazier though, the 10 years it took to find a judge, that's considered fast for Necrons.
Of course it is.
They're immortal. They get to take their time on this.
Which, I mean, kind of leaves the question, like, what are they doing that it takes them so long to get a new guy or someone to judge?
Well, because like they're immortal.
How many people are suing each other?
It's not that how many people are suing each other. Since they're immortal, they take their time with things a whole lot more to pretty much try to get it more like right and perfected and stuff. So they take a lot longer. Like there's just straight up plays that last for decades. Like in the book, it spoke about a play, and there was an extra 5-year encore.
Oh.
Yeah, because like they're robots. They don't have a need to eat or go to the bathroom or sleep.
Right.
Like they can unironically have a play of the entirety of the One Piece story, and just one go, no breaks.
Fair. Crazy enough, there are people out there who would be willing to try that.
Yeah. Oh, including the filler.
Oh shit.
Though, even if you cut out
bro.
the One Piece filler, it's still over 1,000 episodes.
Yeah.
What Orkin had not expected was to miss the Mysterios opening due to Trajan's incompetence. Uh-oh. That wasn't supposed to happen. They're supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time in order to use the key. The Zodiac shot around the other side of the Serenade, coming up behind the Orc craft. Unleashed its particle whip directly into the gaping engines of a cruiser, ravaging one huge booster pod so badly it blew out and sent the craft spinning away end over end as the now lopsided engines threw it off course. That was it for the particle whip. He'd been running things too close to the reactor's red line. The Zodiac needed time to recharge and cycle coolant. Only one weapon remained. He hadn't wanted to give Trazyn the Mysterios in the first place, but she had said it was the only way. A claim his own visions confirmed. For the tomb to open, Trazyn must be holding the Mysterios. Orkin had to think so, but it appeared that the archivist had some role to play in this drama. But Orkin had neglected to tell him the proper algorithm chant to activate the device. And when the tomb did open, well, then all the auguries declared that Orkin would be the victor. Oh yeah, because of the agreement. Okay, bye Hoyo, have a good one. Because of the agreement they had to come to at the trial. Because how Orkin won the trial was that he got the trial to declare that the thing that Orkin stole in the first place that Trazyn wanted back was pretty much a relic for all Necrons. Therefore, if you manage to get your hands on it, it's now technically your property. So for the past 8,000 years, Trazyn and Orkin have been going back and forth stealing it back. But if Trazyn was there when the vault was open, all that stuff would be his. Declared to be his, as per the agreement that they did for the council. And they don't want to go against the council because they will send a Reaper after them. And what a Reaper is somebody that actually has the authority to turn off your regeneration. So you won't come back after they kill you.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you actually break Necron law, even as a Necron overlord like how Trazyn is, your regeneration privileges can be revoked.
Oh.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is scary.
Yeah.
Better be a law-abiding citizen.
and to go along with the Reaper theme, yes, they do have a scythe that they carry around.
Because why not?
Right? It's a Reaper, bro. Lord, his weapon's cryptex signaled. Sepulture is charged? No, sepulture is charged. Sepulture is charged. Finally, he responded. Activated on my command. He punched the control orb, sending the Zodiac plunging between the orc vessels. A wolf among sheep. For 10,000 years, the coral shelf had built itself around the island. Living Pylops building on their dead ancestors. An eternal cycle of civilization and extinction. Ugh. Oh, sepulchre? Sepulchre? Is that how it's? Or, yeah. Yes? Okay, sepulchre. Death
Seppuku.
Not that. Not that. That's not a good thing. Okay, that's not.
That is crazy.
Not that.
What do you mean? How?
Not that.
Not that?
Not that.
I need a 10-page essay that I won't read to explain this.
Not that.
Not that?
Not that.
Okay.
Death and life. A form of complex urban life cycle that, in a way, was no less intricate than the city that occupied the land. Left to its natural course, the island would erode and shrink backwards, retreating from the reef shell. Oh, okay, never mind. The ad break started. All right, we're gonna put on a pause and wait for the ads to go away on the Twitch side.
All right, keep going. This is what they get for not paying. This is what they get for not paying.
This is what they get for not subbing. You should have subbed.
Yes.
But no, it's bad. No, we're not gonna do that.
Listen, man, there's a demand.
What do you mean
Who
there's
am
a
I to
demand?
say no?
No.
Wow, that's so mean. Why would you say that? Like, wow. Okay. Damn. I thought we were friends. Friendship over.
The dyslexia is so bad, I need to be in the call with a clear view from a camera on the book because I want to help. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't read.
Just get better.
It hurt. It hurted. It hurted.
How do I prevent the blood moon and the solar eclipse from happening so often?
Do you have yeah. Long answer, you don't. Short answer, use the thing that skips to the next day.
Okay, well I used it,
Oh.
but I can't use it for another week.
Yeah, and you can't use it for another 7 in-game days. Well, at that point, you don't. Sleep. Actually, wait, you can't even sleep in the bed.
Yeah, I can't.
You can read,
Otherwise,
just
I
not the
sleep
hard
it
stuff.
away.
Oh, I know. There's some words that 100% throw me off so badly.
He can't read. This is all fake.
Yeah, I maximize my bluff stat to make you all think I'm actually reading.
He's just been guessing this entire time, and he's just a really good guesser.
Oh my god, though, I remember seeing that short of the D&D 3rd gen, 3rd edition rulebook, whereas like you make a bear rogue that maxes out disguise, so you dress like so you can dress like a human, and then you pick a subclass that maxes out bluff, so you can technically talk to people by bluffing that you know that language, so you can talk to anybody, and then you become a really well-respected trade person. and then while you're at like a gathering filled with like, you know, very important people and whatnot that you know would do your business good and whatnot, some guy just happens to roll really well and see through your disguise and be like, that's just a bear wearing human's clothing, and then gets escorted out by the guards while you're getting profusely apologized to. He's like, I'm so sorry, man, he's kind of crazy. To which you just respond with Oh, and then you also use the money to hire a butler, and then you give the butler an amulet that can speak to animals, so he understands you clearly. You don't need the bluff.
Oh dang! I wonder why I can understand you even better than usual.
If I'm being more honest, though, my absolute favorite one was the talking horse. No one will ever believe you.
Third. Hate to see it. Wow, shuffleworm.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're gonna start back up into the top here. I just see a monster ad of LG. I think that these guys only do wash machines. Shout out to my boy, the Rogue Bear. Yo. Alrighty. 1 hour of uninterrupted content of reading a book. Exciting. A form of complex urban life cycle that, in a way, was no less intricate than the city that occupied the land. Left to its natural course, the island would erode and shrink backwards, retreating from the reef shelf until it encircled the green island like a halo of an imperial saint. This island would die, worm away until it collapsed beneath the waves, and only the reef would remain. An atoll, a skeletal structure that had grown around what was there long ago, but was now hollow. Metal feet crushed brain corals and fine pink lattice fans as the phalanx walked out onto the reef shelf. Every footstep caused irrecoverable damage, stamping an important print why did I say important? Stamping an imprint into it. Living metal meeting living stone. It was not, Trazen reflected, the first time these leaden souls had crushed a civilization. He had ordered it himself when he deemed it appropriate. But he pitied the reef and its endlessly artistic pileup colonies. The bright yellow fish stranded in tide pools. Perhaps he could save a part of it in the gallery. The orcs' sea-draining endeavors had dropped the water level far enough that only a hand's width of water covered the reef. Trazen's warriors made their implacable advance untroubled by the waves. The surf, often pounding, had been reduced to ripples sweeping by their ankles. The table leaf stretched half a league out to sea, to where the Gargant loomed. Death marks, Ashkut said. Target the fortress walker. Any green-skinned head you can see. No, snapped Trazen. The tugs. Shoot the tugs. Yes, my lord, Ashkut corrected. Huntmaster, target the barbarians on their battleships. Ahead behind. I had such a big brain fart. Ahead, behind a knobby head of rock that protruded the reef, Trazen saw the marksman step out from nowhere. Only a wisp of purple vapor betraying the doorway to the hyperspace outlet. Yeah, outlet. Oh, there's where I am. Oh my god, I had another brain fart and I completely lost where I was. They lowered their long synaptic they lowered the long synaptic disintegrators. Ah! It snapshots toward the tugs, enemy beams spearing across the flat reef. Trazen enhanced his ocular image and saw orcs on the lead tug drop, bodies falling limp as their neural pathways severed. At the ship's wheel, the helmsman sneezed blood into the frosted glass of the wheelhouse and slumped on his controls. The tug drifted to starboard, its chin pulling the great barge sideways, halting its progress. Then the Gargant fired. It was as if a starship had crashed upon them. The coral shelf rocked. Fissures split open, racing along it with the sound of grinding stone. The deathmarks vanished, along with the rock outcropping they'd hit. The deathmarks vanished, along with the rock outcropping they'd hidden behind. Water rushed to fill the deep shell hole blasted into the reef. A piece of an arm fell near Trazen. Hydraulics hydraulics discoloring in the water around it into a milky yellow. Disperse, shouted Ashcut. Advance, loose formation. Immortals and Lichguard scattered in a wide grid, maximizing the amount of space between them. A Night Scythe dived onto the Gargant, lightning arc battery scoring its rough-plated shoulder. The Titan swung one of its massive arms and sawed the fighter transport out of the air. One enormous buzzsaw shearing through its wing. It doesn't matter, Trazen thought. We have no weapons heavy enough for this. Not to prevent it landing. The low slung cannon boomed again, retracing into its housing. That's what it says. Retracing into its housing. Recoil rocketed the Gargant back so hard the barrage slumped backwards, its prow rearing out of the water. The enormous machine scraped a few cuts towards the stern, not them, stern. Trazen heard the freight rail sound of the shell coming. Knew there was nothing he could do. He distantly felt the blast rock the coral beneath him. Throw him through the air so he saw the turquoise of the ocean and orange pink of the sunset painted sky. The blast had torn away both his legs and one arm. Charred his skull and torso until he was nothing but a reactor and logic processor, an infused hunk of metal. Trazen did not concern himself with these details because he had a plan. Deep in the catacomb galleries of Zodiac, the reverberation took hold of the living metal. The ship's frame vibrated with a sound like tolling bells. Excuse me. A funerary? Yeah. A funerary reverberation that shook the living metal so hard, maintenance scarabs clattered on the floors, and cryptechs nursing the reactors magnetically locked themselves down. Emanated. It emanated from the... Oh, fuck. Wait, you put it right here. Yeah. It emanated from the sepulchre crypt. A holdfast where not even the ship's senior officers were permitted to venture. The cryptechs chosen to keep the tomb were a hermetic cable, their network meditation chants, restraining the weapon's violence until it could. If only briefly be released. If simply left to run, it would tear the ship apart. The tolling agitated the very air, sound waves penetrating even the sonically? Yeah. The sound waves penetrating even the sonically deadened plates of the ship's hull and passing through the void beyond. Though how it did so with no atmosphere to travel through was beyond even Oregon's understanding. As the astromancer mentioned his divinatory reports, he saw that the orc ships had begun to vibrate as well. Open a pierce channel to the orc ship, he signaled. He signaled to the dispatch officer. I wish to hear what's going on inside. The audio cut in over loud, so blaring that he had to dial his auditory transducers back to hear the discord that held sway on the orcs' flagship. Inside their armored bulkheads, behind their massive weapons, and clad in muscle more resilient than all but howled necrodermis, The orcs were screaming. Not screams of bloodlust and joyous slaughter, but howls of sentient creatures reduced to base animalism. Pain without understanding. Fear of things that dwelled in darkness. The mad discovering a new depth of madness. Weapon discharges. Cleaver blades meeting with blacksmith tones. Orkin smiled. He had not known whether the weapon would work on orcs. When used on the Eldari, the Sepulchre's psychic wave unleashed glimpses of Empyrean waking nightmares so horrifying that it reduced stalwart warriors to lunatics crippled with seizure, unable to control their own bodily functions. Others, the stronger and less fortunate, would rage against the terrors that surrounded them in the aether, striking down comrades and tunneling through ship systems with their bare hands, though it tore their fingers to shreds. Given the orcoid nature, Orkin was unsure whether it would simply increase the monster's violence. With luck, Boss Big Saw would be killed in the melee. Orkin opened his star charts, made adjustments, inscribed a zodiac of his own devising, and calculated the shifting sands of the future. No, he recalculated, changed variables. Trazen, you bastard. Okay, I think you discovered Trazen did a thing. Plans called for Trazen to defend the entrance of the cave, not to enter. For doing that, the strange geology of Serenade would cut him off from fleet and ground communications. No signal in Orkin's cryptic arts could penetrate the planet's crust. He could not only deploy his forces beneath the surface via translation, or even extract them to be rebuilt and resurrected in the Zodiac's forge. Any Necrot who died in the tunnels would see the end of their eons-long journey. Trazen was to wait until Orkin made landfall and met him. It was the deal. Orkin had not truly expected him to honor it, of course, but he not expected his cheating to gain him such an advantage that the tomb would be his. She had promised him that would not happen. That while Trazen had a role to play in the opening, Orkin did as well. After the tomb was opened, she had said Trazen could be dispatched. Yet Orkin's astronomical calculations told a different tale. From his base at Mandragora, the celestial alignments spoke victory. But here, in the backwater space of Serenade, the stars were bad. Little delays here and there had thrown off his calculations. Or else some event he did not understand had recorded the energy lines of heaven. Casting a zodiac depended much on the exact moment one did it. The stars did not necessarily change, but the algorithm did. Now he saw the scholar ascendant, opposing and ruling the mystic. The metal worlds in the House of Discord, indicating a dynastic war. The constellation Monolith, ruling over all, a great power unleashed. Trajan would open the tomb without him unless he changed his stars. Because Orkin also saw the time of opening was upon them. The constellations and cosmic powers aligning to direct all etheric energies to his crux in the spaceway. This lodestone? Yeah, this lodestone of Serenade. And And that meant that the stars were shining on him, stronger than he had ever felt. All at once, the discord in himself, the feeling of being torn and incomplete, became clear. He was disjointed because he could feel the dissociation of his energies, like a great block grinding into place on a temple's foundation, protesting and teetering until it fell into its niche in the great wall. A moment of dangerous weakness and destabilization before strength took hold. Orkin knew. He knew he would confront the scholar. He changed his algorithms, cast his zodiac, and cursed. But not in frustration. This time, he blasphemed. This time he blasphemed in awe. Translate the Decurion here, he ordered, indicating a point on the map. Take with you the entire complement of wraiths, then march. Travel deep. Gain the tomb and halt whatever Trajan is attempting to accomplish. And you, Lord? It was the Plasmancer. Katak of the Burning Hand. Orkin did not trust military beings, did not understand them. Indeed, he did not trust Katak, but Orkin knew that the Plasmancer wished patronage for his solar research. A venture Orkin was happy to fund and lend expertise to if it at least for a time brought him loyalty and destructive power of a talented tech sorcerer. I will see you there, responded Orkin. Then he said no more, for the stars had aligned their powers and bathed him in light trillions. Then he said no more, for the stars had aligned their power and bathed him in light trillions of years old, and he was already changing. Trajan spurred the Lich Guard to run the moment his consciousness flowed into the surrogate. Follow me, he shouted. Nihilak ascended. At the same time, he sent it as an interstitial command, rocketing the message through the combat net that helped the Lich Guard strike as one, enabled the Deathmarks to fire at precise intervals, and controlled the targeting matrix of the Immortals so no two of them shot at the same enemy. He was already sprinting, running straight at the rearing Gargant. Necrons were implacable beings, unstoppable, but not known for their speed. Yet when called upon, the legions of cold steel could run. Metal toes dug into the exposed reef. Skeletal forms hunched forward into the swarm of shots that buzzed around them, spattering their forms with strikes on the water and clipping metal arms. Rush it, he shouted. Don't let the cannon get range. The coral rocked as another shell landed behind. The coral rocked as another shell landed well behind them. The enormous cannon moving jerkily. The enormous cannon moving jerkily level to try and readjust to the running targets. Its barrel tracked first left, then right, unsure of where to point, trying to compensate for the rocking of the barge. 200 cubits away, Trajan had never led a charge before. He found it exhilarating. His system sang with the illusion of adrenaline that came from the central reactor throbbing in his chest. Hydraulics pumping. Threat grids and bright painted targets splashing across his vision. He saw He saw orcs crowding the firing platforms on the Gargant's thick shoulders and head, pouring fire down on them. An immortal next to Trajan pitched backwards some kind of energy weapon, severing his spine. Oh, where are these hiccups coming from? Oh, good God. The soldier recovered himself and crawled through the shallows, clutching at corals and holes filled with needle-sharp sea urchins in his compulsion to continue the charge. His fellows, driven to win glory for the dynasty, trampled him until his broken form began to seize and leak clouds of green fluid that flashed from electrical discharges. A thunderstorm in miniature. To Tracy's right, a Lichguard's foot dropped into a hole into the reef and she collapsed forward. The orcs must have noted the still target because a line of bullet detonations ripped up her back. One warrior phalanx, Trazen ordered. Stop and provide fire. Keep their heads down. 100 cubits. Cold green beams lanced over Trazen's head, sweeping the upper decks of the Gargant, stripping channels in the armor as if they were fingers in clay, leaving burnished silver gullies? Yeah, leaving burnished silver gullies behind. Orcs ducked, growling with annoyance. One or two that didn't get down took the beam's full force and fell backwards, missing the front 2/3 of their skulls. Trazen saw the big saw-capped arms cocked backward to swing at the onrushing Necrons. As the Gargant's base, a desperate orc mech tried to reattach a snapped guy wire. The gesticulating? Yeah, the gesticulating war engine yanked the cable out of his hands, sending severed fingers spinning away. The mech waved towards the monstrosity's command module, trying to get the pilot's attention, to warn of the destabilization occurring at the machine's base. But when the big machine swung, another guy wire snapped, lashing out with such force to cut the mech and two other deckhands clean in half. Get aboard! Swarm it! The great cannon roared one last time, and Trazen knew they'd done it. The volley fell short, shrapnel scything through the first rank of Necrons. Warriors and elites alike fell mangled, and Trazen, with artificial slowness, saw the piece of shrapnel that would kill him. It was the size of a hand that spun toward his face like a throwing knife. He activated the cloak, found a future where he survived, and took it. The chunk of scattling steel rammed into his shoulder, sinking deep into the living metal and sending off a shriek of damage reports. His left arm went limp. Tracy shrugged it off. Fixable. He already could feel his necrodermis pushing against the interventing object. Then he was at the edge of the reef and leapt. Obliterator raised. He landed on the end of the barrage and crushed an orc ribcage with a hammer below of his obliterator. He sprinted on, dodging and wheeling to get around the huge Gargant's side. Follow me. Go wherever I go. A proximity alert sounded, and he leapt forward as a buzzsaw the size of a Lehman Russ shrieked by. That is actually huge, buzzsaw, because Lehman Russ is absolutely huge. He's a Primarch, and probably a furry. Throwing sparks as it carved into the throwing sparks as it carved into the barrage deck. A whole phalanx of immortals and warriors flew into the air, dismembered pieces scattering. "Don't stop to fight them," he ordered. "Get around the side." Then an axe clanged off his armored hood, and he wheeled, meaning to grab the offending orc's tusk with his offhand and deliver a shot of etheric energy with his obliterator. But his arm merely twitched, the hunk of shell still embedded in his shoulder. And before he could bring his obliterator around, he felt Brutus' fingers close in on his wrist and a celebratory howl from behind him. Seeing the obliterator immobilized, the orc who'd hit him grappled his chest and brought him down. 2 orcs piled on him, then 3. Pounding, firing pistols that hit each other as much as him. Iron-shod boots scraped at his pitted chestplate. He saw the orcs up close, detachedly analyzing their rank breath. Fungus beer, roast squing, and human flesh. Feeling their incredible strength as they pummeled him against the deck. There were so many. I keeps his head, one shouted. "Oi, he's my tiny git. Get off yours." They kept piling in. Trayson estimated that there were 20 to 30 on top of him, their weight pinning him to the patchy panels of the barge deck, a deck that was starting to tilt. He heard clanging feet, the destruction. Piling in around the orcs, the deck tilted further, his back ground against the uneven plating as gravity took hold. Whatever lapped around his pinned head. The weight on Trayson lessened as an orc tumbled off with a splash. He scribed through the press, saw a gargant turning on its big treads, winding up for another swing. The huge tracks slid forward with an unbearable squeal of metal on metal, slowly at first, then faster as the pitch of the deck accelerated its fall. Then Trayson was sliding too. Heaps of orcs rolling away as the barrage began to capsize. He let it happen, happy to be carried off the craft and into the warm water as the gargant carved a bloody crack through the orcs and necrons that still clung to the barrage's deck. Trayson grabbed a handhold at the end of the barrage, well below the waterline. The starboard side of the deck was nearly 4 cubits underwater by the time the gargant passed above him, eclipsing him in shadow as it overbalanced the plunged ahead eclipsed him in shadow as it overbalanced and plunged headfirst into the surf. Trayson watched it sink its illuminated eyes and strobing searchlights lighting up its drowning crew until one by one its electrical systems winked out, succumbing to the abyss. My eye is so itchy. Why is my eye so itchy? Jordan? Oh, is he here? I was going to ask if he cursed me with the all itchy eye. Oh no, he gone. I'm not eepy. I'm not eepy, just my eye is super itchy. I don't know why. Uh, uh, my glasses back on here. Maybe check if it's turned red. Nah, it stopped itching. We're good. I gave it a good old scritchity scratch. Alrighty, where was here we go. Blood, thick and dark, covered the corridors of the Orc flagship. Bodies choked its gangway. Bodies choked its gangways and cabins. What remained of the crew had turned on each other, butchering without objective. The slaughter knew no rank or privilege. Snotling hordes swarmed over larger orcs, stabbing at the eyes and clogging throats. Mobs eradicated everyone else in their gallery, then fired upon one another. There was a weapon, Orkin remembered, a device Trazen had mentioned during their communiques? During their communiques on Orc tactics. He did not care to remember its name, but the greenskins used it to fire their smaller kin through the horns of the Immaterium. Ensuring they excited the tunnel so mad that they mangled anything they landed on. It was as if the whole ship had been fired through such device. Orkin empowered its light form, walked among them like a god. The teleporter? Is that what this is? Is it the teleporter? First orc to charge him be immolated. Yeah, the first orc to charge him he immolated with a touch. The squad that followed, he shot through with electric bolts that struck from his staff without even conjuring them. 20 greenskins screamed and fled, believing him to be one of the nightmare creatures who had torn into their collective mind's eye. In a way, they were right. He shot directly through the fleeing mob like an arrow, leaving a tunnel of cauterized flesh where he passed. The orc ship was not a single vessel. It was multiple salvage ships cobbled together, fused and twisted like the A hair got in my mouth. It shoots shootings to the crump. The orc ship was not a single vessel. It was multiple salvage ships cobbled together, fused and twisted like the crypto thralls. Some of his order fashioned out of particularly hated foe. It took time to find the bridge, and when he did, Boss Big Saw was not there. The bridge crew were elites, large, aggressive, well armed. Orkin did not fight them. He was running out of time. Instead, he ripped open a bulkhead and watched them blown out into the void, crawling and swearing, ice crystals forming on their grummy eyes. He saved one, brought it pain so excruciating that even an orc could not endure it. Where is the warlord? The answer made him feel embellic, despite his shining aspect. The doctor was in the infirmary. Orkin discovered him by following the screams. Knew he'd found the right place when he saw the display room of bisected bodies. Orcoids of every size, humans, various forms of plant and animal life sown in a variety of combinations. Men with the wings of birds sprouting from faces. Orc heads grafted to the trunk of a great tree, arms hanging down the boughs. Moving creatures with robot torsos and fleshed limbs. A whimpering Gretchen permanently wired into the gyroscope of unknown function. Boss Big Sol did not follow the dictates of genius, species, or kingdom. It seemed to Orkin very inefficient. The boss himself stood in the center of an operating theater, covered in gore. He was enormous and mismatched, with rings of pink scar tissue betraying where he'd grafted his pinhead on the hulking chest of larger orc. Cybernetic hands, one a spinning bone saw and the other a crude surgical clamp, were sunk deep in the chest of what only moments before had been a soldier of the Serenade Frontier Rifles. Blood fountained from his sawing, and bile spewed in his piggish face. The pain boy snorted to clear his breathing passages. It saw Orkin. His eyes went wide. What a specimens! I wonder what's inside ya, he snapped, in his pincer for emphasis. Orkin came closer. It was Big Sol's turn to scream. And I gotta check something real quick. Okay. Trajan stepped off the barrage and sank, descending into the fathomless depths. Behind him, the Decurion stepped off in ranks, sinking behind him in solid lines. As they reached the twilight bottom, his feet touched soft padding, a meadow of seagrass, bright yellow, or at least appearing in such the green light of the reactor glow and weapon tubes. In this twilight realm, every Necron burned like a candle, sickly light emanating from behind their ribs and bright oculars. 100 cubits distant, he could see the shadowy line of the Gargant resting on the shady bottom. Largely gray fish patrolled in predatory circles, snatching up the bodies that were still floating free from the hulk. "Sanet," he said, voice carrying easily through the water. "Deploy a tesseract field, the large one." "Do you not wish me to accompany you in the caves, Lord?" "No," he shook his head. "Recover what warriors you can, but after that, I want that Gargant. With luck, we can even render it operational for display." Ooh, fancy. "A pity we did not have a doom scythe," his servant said, slapping away one of the predators as it gnawed tentatively at his hand. We might not have lost so many men. "Of course we had a doom scythe," Trajan snorted, "but how would I have displayed it? Do you want to fix that kind of damage?" Then he turned towards the cave, raised his obliterator, and lowered it again to the point at the mouth. And the warriors of Nihilek marched, luminous, into the waterway darkness. 3 days they walked deeper into the abyssal cave network, winding and twisting, sometimes up, sometimes down, always in darkness. At times, they passed chambers whose ceilings opened to the world above, sending angelic shafts of light into the grotto. Here, reef systems spouted, unseen by any mortal eye. Bright orange fish weaved and nestled through the corals, noising through the imperial purple grasp of taking an Anemones. Ugh. Turtles the size of imperial ground cars, lacking any fear of the intruders, nosed at the marching warriors as they glided by. Trayson found himself particularly taken with an octopod, the same rich turquoise as his Nihilak colors. The creature surely attracted by his heraldry, attached herself to his shoulder plate. He collected the specimen as a souvenir. Not all was so serene. Blind eels thicker than Trayson was wide and with teeth that overlapped like fingers of folded hands, slid and wrinkled through the lightless caverns. One attacked a phalanx of immortals and had to be slain, its inky blood further reducing visibility. With each fathom, the eels got larger, until they discovered one that, were it not so decomposed, might have been a third of a mile long. Foul hagfish burrowed through its flesh, their web-like slime clogging the chamber so thoroughly they needed to clear it with gauze fire. All right, we're at page 220. We are officially halfway through the book, which is pretty cool. The Mysterios vibrated the entire way, singing along with an ethereal resonance. Trayson could not hear. Days in the dark worked on one's imagination. It was true, but he could swear it was beginning to shift as they descended its angles and vertices, sliding and rearranging, unstable. He knew the chamber when he saw it. It was monumental, large enough to fit one of the Auric escort ships in its carnivorous space. Trayson had seen its like except in the largest Imperial faith centers in Eldari craft worlds, and in Necron tomb worlds, of course, which is what this was. He was well within the chamber before he realized it. So thick lay the slit on the floor. Tubules, the kind that lived off the undersea volcanic vents, obscured the ribbed strunts that held up the ceiling. Normally, these sponges, tubes, and skittering shrimp would be clinging to the side of a fissure, living off the nutrients that leaked from the Serenade's magmatic blood. But here, they had found an altogether more potent food source. Halfway through a rivalry so bad they sound like the world's most dysfunctional rivals to lover story that never happened, honestly. So true. At the far end of the chamber stood a cyclopean double door. Its panels covered with organic growth so thick that he could barely see the radioactive green light cast from between its cracks in glyph carvings. That same deathlight emanated from every living creature in the cavern, from the dully glowing strands of kelp to the bioluminescent schools of fish. All reflected the same unhealthy radiance, a radiance that would kill them, Trayson noted. As a long thin fish slipped by, he could already see the tumors clustering beneath its skin. A gift of what the great doors concealed. The kiss of Necron tear. Incredible, said Trayson. It's an eternity gate. Is it dangerous, my lord? Asked Ashcut, hand drifting to his phase sword. Oh, very, Trayson chuckled. It's a doorway to an interdimensional chamber. A place between, like the hyperspace obulate, where the where the death marks wait between firing positions. The perfect hiding place for anything you do not want found, but quite toxic to all but our kind. Is it harmless to us? My dear Warden, the entire galaxy is harmless to us. And he paused, and Trajan He paused, and Trajan watched his retainers Trajan watched his retainers curiosity war with a sense of decorum. What is inside? A long-aged past. Trajan patted the commander's back, a gesture made slow by the water, and perhaps the key to an age yet to come. Do not trouble your matrix with the weighty matters of history, Ashcut. See to the strategic details. I will secure the chamber. He nodded, and Trajan caught a hint of relief in that voice. There's a good soldier. Defensive line where you think best. Immortals and deathmarks up high. Perhaps Lichguard halting in advance. Indeed, Lord. Trajan reached into his dimensional pocket and withdrew the Asterium Mysterios. His hands passing over the Tesseract labyrinth nestled beside it. As he crossed the chamber to the Eternity Gate, he could already feel the Mysterios folding and turning, angles making impossible shapes as they twisted in and out of reality. It slid so much in his grip that he held it with two hands. Schools of fish gathered like a multitude of worshippers around the prophet, noticing at the light emanating from the mysterious runes. For they were no longer Necron glyphs, but a language so ancient, Trajan did not recognize it, and indeed would not be able to read it if he did. Each character seemed to change depending on the angle he viewed it. They were water-like, spiraling eddies in his peripheral vision and geometric proofs when he looked at them straight on. Despite his curiosity, he tried not to do that, for when he did, his oculars lost focus. The image crazed like a smashed window. Was this the warp-infused writing of the old ones? A script he'd once translated so easily, but had forgotten when he'd lost his soul? Soon, he could not see it anyway. The Mysterios was now boiling the water around it, cloaking it in a torch of flame of bubbles that drifted to the cavern's high ceiling. Clouds of shrimp, mistaking the release of heat for a new volcanic opening, wrinkled towards the Mysterios and died. Their bodies forming a carpet that crunched under Trajan's feet. The door was responding. Its glyphs burning away the layers of oceanic sponges and calcified coral to remove the message radiating out of the clean backstone. Hail, Seeker! I, Vashani, lay this curse. Here sleeps Nefereth, the Pharaoh of Amunos, the one called the Untouched, conqueror of the stars, slayer of the gods and immortals. Open and be damned. Trajan staggered, weak. Whatever aura the Mysterios gave off sapped him. Feeding on his reactor energy, much as it shriveled the flesh and crustaceans that drifted still and dead behind him, like the trail of the old fireworms of myth. Oh, look at that! 3-minute ad break's gonna start soon. No, it was not only that, it was the weight of history. Vishani, the high cryptech of the Amunos, had inscribed this message 65 million years ago before she burned in the furnace of biotransference. Here stood a relic of the Necron Tier, a thing fashioned by those hands of flesh they'd so despise, and would give anything to reclaim. Even the fireworms, he had forgotten them. An old folktale of an abandoned planet, a memory stolen from him by the avarice and the deceit of the Catan, now returned. He felt a substance leaking from his oculars, and for a bare instant he thought he was weeping. Then he realized it was also coming from his olfactory transducers and mouth. Reactor bile, coolant fluid. He received no notices or alerts, but the Mysterios was killing him. Trazen let it go, fell to his knees as he watched it rise before the doors like a floating lantern. Another flash of memory. Orange prayer lanterns floating above the dunes, each painted with a message, being the solar gods of the Necron Tier to keep the illness away during the new year. Hands on his shoulders. His mother? His father? The Mysterios spinning madly, shifting dimensions and angles locked. And isosahedron? An isosahedron. 20 faces, 12 vertices, smooth as blackstone, shining high, projecting geometric mandalas that when Trazen looked at them seemed to contain great gulfs of space. Things long past, things meant to be, places distant and destroyed. The tomb doors ground open, tortuously, disturbing eons of sediment and sending cracks along the walls of the chamber as they retreated into hidden cavities. Through the widening crack rippled the colorless pool of a deactivated portal. A mirror of the cosmos. Walk into it, and one could simply walk out the same surface. It needed directions to know where to go. Trazen opened his mouth, calling up an engram of the arithmetic incantation. That's what it says. Incantation. That would activate the Mysterios. In his neural matrices, he saw Oregon intoning the word. Yeah, he saw Oregon intoning the words. His hands simultaneously twisting into occult gestures whose significance escaped Trazen. He could, however, match the gestures exactly while playing Oregon's record incantation in front of his own middle throat. He said the first word and faltered. For the tomb's antechamber had begun to tremble. Whatever power the Mysterios radiated must, he reasoned, have triggered a seismic shift, or else the great doors along the foundation upon which trillions and tons of seafloor had rested had triggered an undersea avalanche with their movement. Okay, the ad break's about to start, so we're going to stop temporarily there. All right. With that being said, I'm going to blow my nose. I'll be right back. You don't seem to suffer ad breaks? Oh. Well, alrighty then. Because like I have it to where the ads like auto play like 3 minutes every hour, so that I could turn off pre-rolls, which is the good. The good. But other viewers seem to get ads. Yeah. Sadly, the ads must be a thing in order for Twitch to stay afloat. Yeah, da, 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 da. Oh my. But where are we? So we're at a part to where Trazen is actually walking into the vault. He is trying to recreate the arithmic, yeah, the arithmic incantation that Orkin has created to properly use the key. And it looks like he better say it quick or he's gonna get crushed by a bunch of rock, which is not good. It will not be good. Ya da 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 da. Oh my. Oh my. Whoa. But hey, we're doing pretty good. We're on page 24. So we're pretty much halfway there to page 250. I imagine we'll get there pretty quickly. Page 50 doesn't seem off. Oh, hey, look at that. The ad break is over. Welcome back, people. All right, we are going to continue onward. Let's see if the good old Mr. Treason can, whatchamacallit? Recite the proper incantation so that he could properly use the key. Or is Orkin gonna dive in and be like, you are a fucking idiot. Let me show you how it's done. And then he opens the door. Nowhere to go. Significance of turn. Playing it. You thinks they're cooked? Where was it in movement? Oh, okay, here's where it was. No, he realized it was coming from behind him. Trazen turned and saw light illuminating the entrance tunnel. It was nearly as bright as that leaking from the Eternity Gate. And then a meteor burst through it, smashing aside the defensive vanguard with their shields raised against the glare. It scattered them as easily as a frustrated hand swept pieces off a Xanat board. They fell away. The proud turquoise livery? Yeah, the proud turquoise livery on their chest plates burned burned back an electric fire clawing out of their oculars and mouths. The incandescent meteor slammed into the floor of the chamber, slit blown sideways, where it landed and sponges tumbling away to the black stone floor lay clean around it. The figure crouched, feet braced, hands planting a staff on the abyssal floor. One baleful eye boring staring at Trazen. Uh-oh. This is Oregon. Trazen swore. A curse from old Necron tier so foul that anyone writing it would have their hands struck off. Astromancer, he said, nodding a greeting. Yeah, it was Oregon. Even a league away, he knew that Oregon could see and hear him. He called up his empathic obliterator. Ashcut, please exterminate this insect. The scorpion may sting, but he is at least alone. But then Trazen saw the source of the shaking. It was not the door or the Mysterios or Oregon's empowered form. It was thousands upon thousands of metal feet. Behind Oregon, the tunnel began to crumble and vent slit. Oculars glowed in his cloudy depths, and metal bodies erupted from the entrance as if a whole burrow of sand ants had risen to defend their queen. Warriors marched out, led by cryptex wielding staves of arcane power. Scorpec destroyers scuttled out through the roof of the tunnel and swarmed up the chamber walls. Wraiths swarm in the ghostly lights of the bioluminescent ecosystem. Their undulating forms, quick and agile, while Trazen's own bipedal troops slowly tracked their targets, impeded by the cold water, waiting for their directive. When the Silent King had abandoned the Necrons, he destroyed the command protocols that he'd used to dictate his orders. Yet some remained as instinct, hardwired into systems that were built to obey. Provided they were functioning properly, no Necron vassal rank could fire on one of its own kind, not without a direct override from their lord. Before the Silent King's departure, the protocol put a stop to eons of blood feud and intersign fleet warfare. It had allowed the Infinite Emperor's expansion, forming a stable bedrock that had let them murder the Star Gods and banish the Old Ones. If once... Hi. How's it going?
Super Earth is getting invaded.
Yeah, I know. I'm reading Warhammer. I know
So
Super...
you're not going to care about the super citizens, no?
I'm sure they'll figure that out. It's fine. They'll figure it out. I'm right now. I'm doing some important reading on the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
All right. See you later. You have a good one. If one Necron slew another, it must be by direct order, and the party responsible would be held account, explaining why they had turned on their own kind. By the order of the Overlord Trazen of Solomons, he said, "Fire, fire, fire! Fire on those shitfucks! Get them!" Alrighty, Chapter 5. Disassembling beams tore through the abyssal dark, atomizing fish and luminescent jellies, eating away at Saltec warriors that implacable and uncomplaining carried on, pushing through the water as they ceased to exist. The cold water dragged on dragged on metal limbs and traversing weapons, giving the combat a sense of deliberation. Like sparring partners moving at 3/4 speed to learn a new fighting stance. It was as if, Orion thought, he were watching the battle with his chronosense dialed slightly back. If not for the beams, they leapt through the water as fast as ever. Oh, super itchy nose. From above, Orion saw a quartet of synaptic disintegrator beams lance into a knot of Scorpec destroyers that were advancing across the ceiling. One quivered and fell, sinking towards the raging combat below. Orion sensed danger and locked the threat down. An immortal hiding in the kelp, bright light already splashing from his Gauss blaster. Orion ran time back a second, then knitted his fingers to summon the prism of Zycanthus? Yeah, Zycanthus. Scattering the beam into harmless bands of light, then he leapt, his insubstantial form immune to the impending water. The distance between slow-moving troops and fast-moving beams had made the cavern a killing ground. Warriors and immortals dropped, whole ranks snuffed out by the relentless Gauss fire. This watery battlefield also manipulated the effectiveness of Tesla carbines. Their directed electrical strikes ranged like atoms through the Sautech ranks, turning them from a support weapon to a heavy cannon with a lingering blast radius. Orion hit the immortal even before the trigger on its Gauss blaster reset for a second shot. Plunged a shining hand into his Rapi into his Rapi intro cables, found the spine and yanked it out through his front. Swung the Stefan Tomorrow around, scything down kelp, and cleanly decapitated a second immortal. The one with the Tesla carbine turned on him. Electro chamber cycling for a shot. Orion spoke an equation and overloaded the weapon, finishing the troublesome soldier with an electricity storm that fused his joints and left him a blackened statue, falling stiff into the silt. He was so powerful, all the energy in the galaxy channeling directly into his systems. The light that bent around black holes and particles that raced across time and space from the furnace of creation. The entire flow of cosmic energy was focused here, focused on him. There was so much. He found himself frustrated that he couldn't contain it all. Like a tomb robber who had broken open a chamber of treasures and could only carry away what fitted in their small bag. The wealth of energy he had was immense, but there was more he could tap into. So much more. Orion reached out a clawed hand and twisted. Halfway across the chamber, a Nihilak Lichguard broke ranks and laid into her fellows, carving deep wounds into their uproaring backs. With a single word, he crushed the skull of a deathmark in the chamber above. The Scorpec destroyers on the ceiling had finally reached the sniper team and saw their erected legs rear back before spearing two of the deathmarks. Unable, due to the chamber's unique geology, to flee to their hyperspace obolete, the marksmen died, waving their long disintegrators in a pathetic parody of self-defense. Orion might have scribed into the Scorpex to relish the moment, but he had a greater but he had greater things to attend to. And even empowered, he feared the corrupt programming of the destroyers might infect him. Besides, he could see the gate, the tomb entrance. It had not been activated, and he surged through the water to ensure that he would be the one to open it. Ooh, is Orkin going to get there? One did not have the military being to know that this battle was going poorly. Trajan's expedition had numbered around 500, his usual core of Lichguard and Immortals. The acquisition phalanx he took on many hard-to-crack worlds, augmented with warriors and death marks. Ashcut, signaled Trajan, trying to find the royal warden in the melee. Trajan had climbed atop a spur of coral to get a better view of the enormous cavern. Are things as bad as they look? Very precarious, Lord, Ashcut responded. We are facing at least 4 times our number. The enemy continues to emerge. We made a great butchery of them. A pause. Trajan finally located his royal warden, focused in on his oculars, and watched him grab a cryptek by the top of its ribcage and slam its hyperphase blade up through the vulnerable space between ribs and spine. The cryptek's reactor detonated with a gush of bile, splaying his ribs outward. Yo, what's up? I don't know. What do you need? What do you need to put that in the microwave for? Huh? For rice? Okay. Apologies for the interruption, my lord. We made a great butchery of them at range, but they have disordered our firing lines. We are outnumbered. They are taking the ceiling and upper galleries and will soon be behind us. Trajan looked up and saw the destroyers flooding the ceiling, clambering and skittering through the dark like pale crabs. Yes, Ashcut was right. They were about to be surrounded and cut off. His oculars detected a burst of solar energy on the floor of the cavern, and Trajan turned to see the water shimmering with heat waves and steam bubbles. A Saltec Plasmancer, his tendril-like legs propelling him through the water like a squid, and had risen with his arms spread and summoned a corona of solar heat, gathering energy that lit even the cavern's shadowy vaults and bombarded the Lichguard below with balls of pure radiation. To Trajan's left, the last of his warriors fell, trodden into the slit by advancing enemies. Weak hands still clutching at the legs of their killers, trying to at least slow the progress of the foe. Faithful to the end, not knowing or not understanding that unlike their deaths, there would be no resurrection from this one. No phasing into the belly of a tomb ship to be rebuilt. Here below the serenade, dead was dead. It was time, Trajan decided. He reached into his dimensional pocket, selected a Tesseract labyrinth, and pressed the key. Volmark Khazar, Datasmith second class in the Sacred Legio Cybernetica. Machine God's blessed maintenance be upon it. Was having difficulty calibrating their surroundings. They had known Khazar and their complement of Castelline robots had been wadding through Drukari raiders in the mountains of Rubric 7. Their breathing apparatus modified into a reusable oxygen system to deal with the massive altitude. Yet now, if their environmental scanners did not lie, they were underwater. A great depth underwater. If the pressure gauges read correctly, and the lithe Aldari were gone. In their place were metal men, constructs cursed by the machine god. Blasphemous things forged and not made that mocked the purity of the human form that still, despite their mechadendrites, in databanks lay within Volmet Khazar. With a trail of fear, their cybernetic brain brought up shadowy legends of the Men of Iron, an abominable intelligence said to have nearly brought mankind to ruin. There were troops next to them, fighting the invaders. Green beams lashing out like whips that disassembled the enemy where they struck them. They were about to turn their head, but a strong urge prevented it. The momentary warning of a system compromise winked out. Their cybernetic brain informed them that they had no need to see these allies, but they were to thank the machine god that these allies were fighting on their side. So they did. Castelline compliment. The tech priest signaled the Mechanicus Binaric? Yeah. The Binaric cant. 9 hulking robots stood straighter. Dome heads turning towards Khazar for orders. Power fists crackled and weapons chambered in anticipation, merely at the tone of Khazar's logic speech. Destroy the abominations. Nine big shoulders swung around and advanced, weapons acquiring targets. There were so many, it took no time at all, despite the slowness of the water. Phosphor blasters coughed, barrels streaming steam bubbles as they launched burning spheres of chemical fire towards the crawling horde. Streams of white starbursts slapped into the advancing infantry, stuck to their metal bodies. The infernal chemical burning of underwater and melting metal skin until the foul unmetal bubbled off, rehardening in the cold water so the abyssal floor was littered with steel plates. She knows. The Castellans? Yeah. The Castellans, Khazar noticed on the other data slate, were keeping up an exponential rate of fire. With water this cold, the phosphor blasters had no risk of overheating. Number 7, though, was doubling firing its I'm kind of stuck on this one. Incendiary combustor into the water, despite the fact that instead of flames, a coiling trail of promethium spread from the weapon's muzzle. Khazar disabled the weapon and ordered it to enter close combat. Number 7 stepped forward and swung its power fist, crushing 2 of the blasphemous monstrosities. To their left, Khazar saw an unangered dune crawler scuttle forward, out from its Icarus array and detonating amidst the foe, throwing metal body parts that fizzled as they sank. Wait, this music. That made so much sense. I was like, this music isn't Skyrim. detonating amidst the foe, throwing metal body parts that fizzled as they sank. Khazar drew their gamma pistol and blasted into the onrushing horde, their shoulder fox broadcasting the litany of data corroboration. It was an honor, Khazar thought, to serve the machine god. Kaderatol was loving this. She had begun to tire of high altitude combat against the Emperor's little machine drones. True enough that their pain at seeing their clumsy experiments rent and destroy provided to a certain distraction, but that juice was far too easy to squeeze, and studying their poor attempts to fuse flesh and machine did little to further her own surgical endeavors. After all, one did not rise in the homuncule order by mimicking the crude fleshworks of the dead emperor's little machine men. But this she enjoyed. Her experiments, fitted with anti-grav engines and bludged beneath their purpling skin, had always been used to swimming through air. And the high altitude of Rubik's spine range had persuaded her to fit them with pressurized mass. The seals were pressurized mass. The seals were not perfect, of course. For what was the fun if they did not choke a bit of thin air, or the water now, as the case might be? She herself was elated to finally use the gills she vat grown for herself 2 centuries back. Their lack of use had become the subject of a few sharp jets at a party she'd thrown. Everyone had quite a laugh at her experience. Speaking of which, then my nose. I don't know why. Every time I read, my nose gets so stuffy. Speaking of which, her Kronos reached the bladed things on the ceiling, lashing out with the bristled tendrils that she'd fleshworked from its arms, wrapping the cleaver-armed Necron in a revolting embrace. She watched as bristles of needle-thin spikes in the tendrils ignited, their power fields spiking the metal monstrosity in 300 different places and injecting acid directly into its system. Both Kronos' flesh construct had bladed berserker shivered together, like lovers consuming a night of passion. And she knew the Kronos was in much pain, if not more than its victim. Teaches you to make fun of my gills, Xanther, she thought with a lopsided grin. As the being that was once her old drinking companion let go of the victim and reached for another. One of his tendrils had fallen victim to a Necron blade and drifted past, still whirling around the ailing destroyer. Toll kicked her way to the still form and looked into its eyes. Supping on the anger that burned there. She flicked through her implant. She flicked through her implant toolkit and drew a necrodermis needle. Fortunate she had one, for they were uncommon, and plunged the spike into the Necron's primary fluids. Secretor? Yeah, secretor. The reactor bile filling the crystal vial was such a lovely shade of yellow. Extremely rare, the substance, terribly toxic. unsuitable, unsuitable, no, unsuitable, yeah, unsuitable, true, but effective in the extreme. And you know the Necrons? It was so bothersome to harvest it before they phased. A pure sample was hard to come by, but these metal ruffians didn't seem to be phasing at all. In fact, she got closer to look at this destroyer than she'd ever had before, and felt a certain kinship. Clearly, this being had once been one of its standardized kin. Yet the genius of creation had come upon it. And like her, it had decided to make itself a work of violent art. Each bladed limb, each protruding pneumatic chest spear and bristling weapon had been fused to its frame. Toe patted its dead cheek with her grafted third arm and pushed off him with the extended spine tail that made her move so gracefully in the water. Another destroyer floated past her, and she looked up. More constructs were lying into the blackened monsters. Flagella-like tentacles, lashing and wrapping, bladed spider limbs of the Necron body artisans, meeting the whips and flesh hooks of her own work. Dear friends, she thought, mentally greeting the rest of her party guests, meet your ancient and feared foe, the Necrons. Do try not to laugh. Oregon spread his staff through the tracked construct. Nothing so much as a brain-dead corpse wired into a small tank, its skin shallow and pumped with embalming fluid. Even in his light form, one that only existed partially in the physical plane, he did not want to touch it. Treason. Only treason would preserve enough to collect such creatures. Orkin wheeled and dashed under the swiping arm of a big construct. One of the 9 had made... Snot. So much. Orkin wheeled and lashed under the swiping arm of a big construct. One of the 9 had made such a mess of his warriors and slashed one of its legs through as he passed. It toppled forward, severed limbs buzzing with white electrical shorts as the idiot machine kept moving its legs as if it were upright, its empty weapon firing into the sponges. A searing beam stitched across his left arm and whirled, seeing one of the machines coming at him with a pistol. Oregon's enhanced senses detected the presence of mind shackle scarabs in the tech priest system and drew the sign of thoughts in the air. The cultist's hand shook as their finger tried to tighten on the trigger and could not. You wish to worship machines, snarled Orkin. On your knees. The tech priest dropped to their knees, then prostrated themselves in the hazardly glowing slit. Surrounded by shredded sponge, the priest's right hand, twisting an unnatural angle, held the beam pistol to the back of their own head. Orkin did not wait to see the pistol go off. He passed more abominations. Spindly legged machine men with sucking gas masks stirred to their faces. A bipedal stilt walker spitting heavy laser fire. He sent an interstitial message for his plasmaster to deal with it. Orkin could already feel the planetary alignment passing, his power weakening. The beam pistol had burned off a measure of his cosmic energy, and when he opened his ports to channel from the great lines of the zodiac, he found particles moving sluggishly now through the lines of space-time. That meant there was little time to activate the Eternity Gate. A spider tank stalked by, thudding lazy hard rounds out of its twin cannons. An Oregon weaved by it, bolt dashing between the moving legs. To his right, a warrior, slick-bladed armor and a rebreather face mask, fired some kind of Eldari pistol, and he uttered Haki's reversal, sending the storm of splinters back into the stunned raider, so his blood misted the water. Then a hulking bodyguard, a royal warden if he was not wrong, stepped into his path. Oregon had not the time to deal with him properly, so he cast a quick combat algorithm to predict the vassal's movements. He slid, skidding feet first through the slit and under the warden's first high blow. As he passed, he swept high, severing the vassal's spine. It would not kill him. Oregon had not time for finishing blows, but the guard would not interfere. At a last dash, sliding through the slippery kelp grove, pausing only to drop a chronomatic hex field to slow anyone pursuing him. The Mysterios hung suspended, brighter now, transmuted, singing, and he could hear her in that song, urging him forward. So you are close, Oregon. See my name on this door? You solved the riddle, not him. Do not let this thief steal your glory. Only you will understand what you shall find here. No being is my equal, none but you. Oregon stood beneath the arithmetic lodestone of the Mysterios, the piece that gave him the unknown variable in the equation. Without that variable given by the Mysterios and different each second, the algorithm would not be complete. Trazen could have watched him recite the algorithm 1,000 times, probably had. It would not have mattered. And though the language was strange to him, it somehow imprinted the impossible number directly onto his engrams. The last piece of the puzzle, he spoke the cryptographic algorithm. The Mysterio slammed inward, imploding, folding and shifting, each of its 20 faces stretching deep into the core until every angle stood out in a point, a jagged starburst of equilateral triangle faces. The mirror surface of the portal shimmered and shifted, a bill glowing green in the center that spread to encompass the gateway. Oregon could see the chamber beyond, saw ranks upon ranks of figures, silhouetted in the indistinct haze of the portal. And for a moment, Oregon feared trickery, that Trazen had infiltrated the tomb before him and installed an army there. But as he stepped forward, he saw the figures were stone, worn with the long eons. Their backs were turned to him, as if they stood at attention for the pharaoh who presumptively lay beyond at the center of the tomb. The water seemed to draw him towards the portal as it rushed through to fill the tomb. It happened slowly, a light pull rather than a torrent. Oregon stepped forward, whispering thanks to the constellations and whatever nameless god or power put them into motion. And then the obliterator hit him from behind. Oregon stepped back to the past, found his way blocked by Trazen's cursed cloak. No past could exist, it seemed, where he was not struck. Instead, Oregon went back as far as he could a bare half second, twisting his head so the staff struck a glancing blow rather than scattering the whirl of protons that formed his cranium. He staggered, recovered, wheeled on Trazen with his staff held in a high guard. My heartiest thanks, Orkin, Trazen said. Quite chivalrous to hold the door open like that. Then Trazen turned and dashed for the rippling dimensional gate. Orkin threw his staff like a trident, pinning the Lord's cloak to the sediment. And then he was on him, empowered hands tearing at Trazen's abdominal cabling, scratching furrows down his death mask, hammering dents in his ribs. Bent back fool, arrogant Conover. I'll rip your head from your hood, you degenerate. He slammed his fist into Trazen. He could see them flickering. Incandescent one blow, cold metal the next. The tide of energy had ebbed? Okay. E-B-B-E-D. Had ebbed. The constellations sliding on their uncaring path where one alignment was as good as another. Damn, Orkin shrieked, clawing his way towards the dimensional portal. Something impaled him. Then he knew. Trazen had locked hands around his leg. Only a few moments left. He kicked Trazen's death mask, saw it cracked, kick him again, and shattered away a piece of necrodermis skull plate, exposing bare circuits. Behind them, Orkin heard the sounds of battle, the howl of Gosfire already echoing through the turbid waters of the cavern. Reach a crescendo. His perception suite reasserting itself and fits as the empowering energy drained, warned of incoming threats. That's when he saw them, the Triarch Praetorians. They surged out of the entrance tunnel in an arrowed phalanx, smashing through Sautek and Nihilek alike, diverging a wedge onto the Sautek rear, scything down the enmeshed forces with their rods of covenant. As he watched the formation split, driving to either side to form a cordon between Sautek and Nihilek. One beat a Cryptek aside with the flat of his voidable and raised particle caster with the other hand, driving a shot directly into the vision slit of a crab-like Mechanicus tank, so the vehicle staggered and heeled over. And at their front was Executioner Phyllis, one hand raised high and projecting three-eyed glyph. Oh, so much snot. Projecting three-eyed glyph of the Awakened Council. If Orkin had any doubt, the message broadcast banished it. This is an override command. All troops of the Empire will cease combat by order of the Council. This is an override command. Put up your weapons. The penalty for disobedience is death. Orkin broke Trazen's weak grip and ran towards the stone silhouettes in crypt beyond, towards the voice that bade him come, towards the fading shimmer of the portal. He stretched out his hands at the fading image. They struck bare rock. The stars were no longer bright, and the portal was dead. And that is the end of Act 2. We are now on Act 3, Exterminatus. Uh-oh. Chapter 1. Let me state for the record, Let me state for the record, Farrak Osara said, that this is not officially a trial. Can we be executed? Asked Oregon. Yes, said Zuberkar, with a note of unpleasant eagerness. Then it's a trial, Trazen said. In a technical sense, said Overlord Balbec, it is an inquiry. Oregon shot a look at Trazen, signaled, "Look where you have led us, you crook-backed madman." Madman? So says the delusional fanatic who speaks to illusions. I do not. No, no, scolded Osira. Fellas, activate the signal dampeners. Anything you two say, we shall all be party to. No condoling in no colluding on testimony. I would rather collude with the Void Dragon, snapped Oregon. Trying to solve a hidden heresy and expose it, spending maybe 1 or 2 centuries? Exterminatus. Why not? Said Trazen. The serpents belong together. Cease, Philia shouted, slamming her staff, half-moon executioner's glaive, on the Blackstone. This is not a venue to air your grievances. Your petty feud has cost the Infinite Empire dear in the moment of great vulnerability, and it would have cost more had the Praetorians not been monitoring your movements. I have official powers of law here, granted not by this body, but the Triarch Council and the Silent King. Non-compliance in this inquiry shall be considered an admission of guilt, and in such cases, my order has authority to execute sentence. She lowered her glaive, pointing it at the necks of both Trazen and Oregon in turn, as if judging the distance of her swing. I have this power. Overlords or no, and I swear on the shattered bodies of the dead gods that I will use it. Nod if you understand me. Trazen nodded assent, stunned at this Brazen's statement of power. Clearly the Praetorians had taken a greater hand in council affairs over the last several millennia. Indeed, it was possible that the ring of Triarch Praetorians surrounding the council was not merely to contain the 2 prisoners, but to ensure this inquiry went as directed. Usually, the Praetorians did not undercut civil authorities so openly, preferring to play their cards close and exercise influence from the shadows. This must indeed be serious for her to step out of line so. Was this the result of his feud with Oregon? He wondered. Or linked to the strange absence of the high metallurgist Quaylak? Phileas accepted Trazen's nod and turned to Oregon. For a moment, pregnant with insolence, Oregon did nothing. Then he nodded with excessive sluggishness. What our executioner? The executioner, colleague from the Triarch Praetorians has said is correct, said Osira. We have the most shocking reports of malfeasance. Things that call into question not only your honor, but your worthiness of overlord rank. Zuberkar, would you be good enough to read the first charge? Zupakar, his face sort across his knees, called up a Fosglyph panel and scrolled. It is alleged by the honorable parties and witnessed by representatives of the Most High Triarch that Overlord Trajan of Solomons and Master Orkin of the Saltec did carry out a private blood feud with one another. Over 8 millennia, contravening their programming as well as the last edicts of the Silent King. They have broken the peace of the Infinite Empire on numerous occasions, including overriding vassal protocols to allow combat between kin, wasting the resources of His Eminence, the Silent King. Most disturbingly, this knowingly occurred in an environment where phase recall was unable to function, leading to the permanent loss of over 3,000 of our subjects, including 17 cryptechs, 124 lich guards, 300 immortals, and 2,367 warriors, and an estimated 30 destroyer cult devotees. In addition, 2 ships heavily damaged. This is absurd, Orkin interrupted. As you say, there has been a feud. No one is denying that, for it was no secret. Indeed, this feud was a de facto sanctioned by this very council when we put the matter before it. You declared the Astara Mysterios and the Tomb of Necromanth to be common heritage of the Necrons. Do you not recall? Orkin opened a hand, casting a chrysophase projection directly from his engram banks. It was Overlord Balheg, who now sat on the council, lying partially reminated as an adjudicator. The Astara Mysterios will be owned by all and none, said the projection. A free object belonging to he who possesses it. Stealing it shall be no crime, killing for it no sin, and whoever opens the crypt may keep its contents for the greater glory of their dynasty. Stealing it shall be no crime, killing for it no sin, repeated Orkin. So why are we subject to this trial that is not a trial? Main actions explicitly allowed under council's directives? Excuse me. There was a pause. We are aware of the previous decision, said Balbec. Believe it or not, Master Orkin, but our engrams are just as uncorrupted as yours. But we have also discovered certain procedural irregularities with that verdict which call the direction into question. Namely, said Asura, her tidal veil clinking as she leaned forward, we have received an anonymous accusation that the verdict was engineered via timeline manipulation. Preposterous, said Orkin. Indeed, such brazen rewriting of the timeline would explain why the remembrance of reality became so thin, Master Orkin. You flatter me, Farrak. But what you allege is beyond even my powers. Trajan smiled. Even though it was a lie, it must have stung Orkin to say it aloud. Perhaps so, Asura said. But to avoid any doubt, we have tasked 77 of our best chronomancers to lock the council room's timeline. You perhaps noticed our new mosaic? Mosaic? Trajan looked down. Indeed, he had noticed the spheres and intersecting geometry that inlaid the floor. As a connoisseur, he could not have missed it. He had not appreciated, however, was that the entire geomatic design consisted entirely of the time tiles. He looked at Orkin, ready to drink in his reaction. An unnecessary precaution, Orkin scowled. Indeed, I am wounded, and that the council would credit such securlosi rumors? God, that's definitely not what that word says, but anyway. But as a humble servant of the Empire, I can lay aside my pride in order to banish even the merest hint of impropriety. In all this, Astra continued, not even deigning? No, deigning to engage with Orkin's denials is a mere prelude to the most monstrous accusation. You have caused havoc in the sector, forced an Orc fleet to withdraw, and land on a tomb world where we have been forced to deploy our limited military strength to artificially raise half the population from stasis sleep. Your meddling has, all told, cost us the permanent destruction of 69,000 Necrons. Nice. And incalculable neural damage to the tomb world. Pity you did not foresee that in your zodiacs, Master Orkin. Overlord Trazen changed the equations when he abandoned the fight in orbit. Farak. The fault is, and that is not even counting the charges of murder, said Phileas, finger impatiently tapping on the taft of her glaive. Noble counsel, Trazen laughed. You surely cannot charge us with murder. Vassals have no legal status as beings. Deconstruction of property, perhaps. Although I will admit that Master Orkin and I had made very game attempts on each other's lives, here we stand more or less whole. Not within the murder of each other, said Asura, with the murder of High Metallurgist Quaylak. For perhaps the first moment in 60 million years, both Trazen and Orkin's verbal response programs failed. As they met each other's impassive gaze, Orkin shook his head slightly, and Trazen responded with a shrug. Trazen said carefully, I had noticed the High Metallurgist's absence, but believed that he had simply yielded his seat to Lord Balak, due to his superior rank and prestige. Do not try to flatter me, Archivist, said Balak. A century after the Council's original ruling, a common heritage a ruling we have vacated. A ruling we have vacated. You should note. So much thought. You should note, High Metallurgist Quaylak resigned his seat in order to pursue his own studies on Nefereth in the tomb complex of Sepphoris. He departed immediately for an expedition, presumably on the world currently known as Serenade. Balhek paused, waiting for one of the accused to volunteer information. He has not been heard from since. Trazen tapped his chin, a nervous habit of the flesh times. The murmur of a figure holding courtly rank, absent a formal declaration of feud or war, was a serious offense. Wipe out 10 legions of vassals, and Praetorians would not raise a finger in retribution. But the laying of an aristocrat, A high metallurgist who possessed rank and privilege equal to a planetary regent was another matter entirely. And you say he went to Serenade, Farrak? 8,000 years ago? You did not believe, surely, that after a declaration of common heritage, the two of you would be the only ones to launch expeditions? I can only testify for myself, of course, said Orkin. But in 8,000 years of visits to Serenade, I have not encountered the High Metallurgist or any sign of his presence, nor have I detected in celestial traces conducted in orbit any hint of technomancy. But I admit I have been absent from the world more than I have been present. Overlord Trazen? I have found the same, Trazen nodded. Millennia of spectromagnetic bombardments and survey sorties. I have not seen any hint of our kind apart from Master Orkin. And due to unusual sharpness of our rivalry, I kept a high degree of awareness regarding signs of Necron presence. Typical, sneered Zubikar. Like the couple of bandits they are, neither saw nor heard anything. The ruffian's code of silence. One of you killed them, said Asra. To declare otherwise strains cruelty. If you believe either of us consider Quelaag a threat, cut in Orkin, you are sorely underestimating our abilities. Why, Orkin, Trazen said, I believe that's the kindest thing you have ever said to me. Asura opened her mouth, then saw the executioner was about to speak. Counsel, said Phileas, may suggest that if either of them had killed the High Metallurgist, or indeed knew of his disappearance, they would have already accused each other. Indeed, likely the murderer would have already gone through pains to implicate his rival far before his discernment. True, said Trazen. Particularly given Orkin's history with the High Metallurgist, the charges would lay nicely. Would have been quite the checkmate. You'd have a lucky escape, Astromancer. She's right, Ashra, said Balbec. These two despise each other, and given their histories, such a dependable stratagem would likely already be in motion. Serenade is a dangerous place, said Orkin. Always has been. Always has been. Reminded of the meme. Aldari Exodites, orcs, and even a few humans. Not that they are of any consequence. And Quelaag was never launching into endeavors that were above him. Are you saying, started Zubikar? I'm saying Quelaag was a fool. A well-known fool. And I refuse to be punished for a limp-figured meddler getting above himself and coming to a bad end. Truly, I will not even allow Overlord Trazen to be punished for it, since I will not be denied my rights of feud, he started. I wish to see his face when I beat him to the tomb. Want him to know that I have bested him. That may be difficult, said Asra, given that the Serenade is going to be destroyed. And that is it. I read into page 150 and didn't stop at 150 because it was only half a page, and then chapter 2 of Act 3 is right here. So, but if the title of Act 3 is to be followed, it seems like the planet is going to be under exterminatus, which, you know, not good. But yeah, that is going to have to be it for today's stream. Please tune in tomorrow for when me and Jordan complete the achievements of 2 other games. We will be doing Carry the Glass and Terraria. And then, Friday, I will be playing Elden Ring. I I actually haven't played that in a hot minute since I beat the DLC. And not only that, but it looks like I'm going to be doing the butt naked build. So wish me luck on that one, fellas. Oh, let me check the votes. Yeah, it's still the butt naked build. So yeah, wish me heavy luck on that one, fellas. But if you enjoyed, I ask that you please leave a like and subscribe on the YouTube and drop a follow over here on the Twitch. And I will see you all tomorrow with Jordan. Bye-bye.